Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today on the first Friday of October. Wow, is time flying by. I can't believe we're in the last quarter of 2020. My guest today has been called an epic event master. Eugenia Gorkowa is the founder of EG Productions, Event Productions. She was born in Russia, raised in Germany. She's an accomplished event planner and producer who has built a name for herself and her company here in Canada. Eugenia has over 10 years of experience in engineering large-scale events. She has worked with KPMG Canada, Global News Group, and Live Nation, just to name a few. Please join me in welcoming Eugenia Gorkowa. Hi,
Hello.
Eugenia. How are you doing today?
Hello. Fantastic. You?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you so much for joining me today on Meet, Greet, and Ask Us Anything. I really do appreciate it.
My pleasure. Hello, everyone. I can't see you, but hello, whatever you are, whatever time
Wherever
zone.
you are. Yeah, actually, I think we have some people in Australia today tuning in, and I know some people from California joining us as well. So full spectrum international, so it's great.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, guys, for joining. Much appreciated.
Yeah. So Eugenia, you and I both live in the same city. We live in Vancouver, BC. How have you been struggling or thriving during COVID? I mean, has anything been different for you during this?
I think it's different for everyone. Well, for a majority of the businesses, but I think every downhill there is an opportunity. You know, and you can make a choice. You can sit down and cry about it and complain about it, or you can actually look for opportunities. And you know, it's amazing to see how many companies actually were in this events industry were able to pivot, specifically the tech companies, right, or AV companies, like for example SW Show Services, that were able to pivot to create some opportunities for event planners, right? So it's again just finding ways to pivot and see how can you adjust to it and move forward.
Yeah, I've had quite a few people, I mean, their events have been canceled during COVID, or they've had to reschedule, or they hold their events and people are canceling last minute, even though they've paid for caterers and everything else coming up, flowers even. So where do you see the industry going in the next 6 months? Are we still going to be in this predicament where most events are going to be held virtually?
So I think where it's going to be heading, obviously, it's not going to be resolved. I don't think, at least, like, who knows, right? But I don't think it's going to be resolved until at least the end of this year. In terms of where the industry is heading, I had, a few conversations with some event planners in the city, and they would call and panic, and it's like, where's it going? Well, events are not going anywhere. Because people, no matter what, they do prefer in-person events over virtual events. It's just right now, like I said, like a lot of companies are trying to pivot. But I think what people can take away from this experience is that, for example, online events, right? Online events, once the in-person events start again, I think a lot of companies, what they will realize, you know what, we're going to continue using online for perhaps like some overseas meetings, right? What it took for you, for example, before to fly to Australia or whatever that is, right? Now you're dealing with transportation costs, which is like airplane costs, right? Hotel, jet lag, all the food costs. Jet lag, which takes you a couple days. If it's especially a big time difference, it takes you a couple days to just recover, to get back to kind of normal, And I think a lot of companies will see benefits to say, you know what, we've been flying to UK or whatever that is every time for a meeting, but now certain meetings we can perhaps do online, right? Instead of flying there. Yes, it's important to go and meet your customers and visit them in person. But I think that will be one of the benefits. In terms of the events as well, I think hybrid will be absolutely the way to go. Like
Right. So hosting a live event, but also hosting a virtual event at the same time.
Yeah, correct. For example, if you're hosting, let's say, like a conference, right? And you are, as a company, you have offices in UK, you have in Germany, whatever offices you have. Now, from this event, the people who are overseas, they can as well join your event, right? You can include them, so it gives number one a broader aspect in terms of like your name, or if you like, for example, branding, right? That you want to
Right.
get
Increases your reach huge.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think, some companies right now, they're still hesitating if they should be doing online events. And just in my opinion, I think they should, because it will give them a good understanding. It will give them a feel how an online event works and what it actually can do, where
Right.
you can incorporate it into your in-person event, right? So much broader reach.
Yeah. And do you have any tips or suggestions on how to market a virtual event? If you've usually done an event in person and now you're switching over to a virtual event, what do you suggest for companies to do, or individuals, to market those new events that are now going virtual? Do you think they'll still get the same amount of participation and engagement?
I think it's the number one question what a company needs to ask themselves before they do it is, what's their objective, right? Like what are we trying to accomplish with this event, and what are the viewers want to see from this event? Because once you understand that and you understand your demographic, it will be easier for you to pivot and adjust. And again, there's like so many fantastic technology opportunities right now out there, what you can include into a virtual event. You can do, rent a space, like I said, some of the event AV companies, they provide space where you can set up a fantastic stage and do an event right on the stage where everybody tunes in and watches you, right? So there's opportunities, but again, objective. You have to understand what your objective is, and not just do an event. It's understanding, why are we doing this? What are we trying to accomplish with this event, right?
Right. Do you ever set, when you're planning an event, do you ever set goals or expectations ahead of time for target?
Well, my expectation and goal is to provide the viewers what they would like to see, and even above, right? Even whatever they expect, to go above and beyond. So they walk away, because for companies, if you put on a fantastic event, guess what? I watched your event. Now I'm like, oh, what did you do yesterday, Eugenia? Oh, you know what? I watched Marlon's event. Oh my God, it was fantastic. Oh, who is Marlon? Oh, Marlon works for this and this and this company. It's if you create a fantastic experience, not only you create experience, but as well, it's going to be word of mouth marketing, right? People will do the marketing for you without even realizing they're doing it. Right.
Yeah.
And there's like event planners, like, there's AV companies who can definitely support the company and help them reach that goal.
So how did you first even get into the whole event space? What led you into this career path?
Well, how much time do you have? It's a long story, but I wanted to be in the events industry since grade 7. And I always wanted to do events and plan big events, and when I moved to Canada, my background is dentistry, but when I moved to Canada, I said, no, you know what, I need to really proceed on this path. And I started volunteering at the MTS Center, now it's the Bell MTS place. And then I finally, when I finished my business, I started working there, and and then moved to Vancouver, worked for the stadium, and then started my own company 2 years ago.
Good for you. That's amazing. And how has the transition been from working for a company to starting your own business in the event space?
Well, I've been always an entrepreneur, and I always, wanted to grow and learn. And it was a fantastic experience, working for both of those companies. Doing really large events, small events from like 20 people, or I think my largest was 55,000 people, it was an experience, but I was just ready to start a new chapter and grow, because I just didn't feel I was growing anymore, right? So that's
Right.
kind of how I transitioned. This transition was not easy. I think when you start your own business, it comes with some challenges,
Of
right?
course.
Like entertainment industry, I had quite a big network, and then now you're entering the corporate world, and people are like, who's Eugenia? Who's the event production? So like it's establishing new relationships, which is one of the number one things which you should focus is when you launching your business is relationships, right? Yeah. And Marlon, you're freezing.
There we go.
There you go. There you go. Back in business. Back in business.
Back in business. So when you, after you created your company, event productions, how did you first market yourself in the Vancouver space? And did you first start off in Vancouver?
Yes.
So how did
Yes.
you first get into the space and network and start getting your first client? Can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. So, like I was attending a lot of networking events, and quite honest, there is not a lot of great networking events, because again, once you come to the networking event, there is no objective, like why this networking event, and the mix is just not right. So just a tip for whoever's putting on a network event, understand why you're putting it on, and as well make sure that there is a right fit of people at this event, right? So people benefit from it, because they're not coming there to just drink wine, they're coming there to make relationships, or perhaps get business out of it, right? So, and then one day I said, you know what, the networking events, they don't do it for me. What can I do? And I was like, you know what, I'm connected with so many fantastic people on LinkedIn. Let's invite them for coffee. And you know what, I was like, they can always say no. And I just started going out for coffee, and I was overwhelmed by how many people said, absolutely, and thank you to you guys. If one of you were like, well, Marlon, you're one of them. Whoever else is watching, thank you so much for accepting my invite and meeting me for coffee. It means a lot to me, because through that experience, I was able to establish some fantastic relationships, including some friendships. So so just meeting people for coffee and getting to know them. It's not about selling them right away with your business, but establishing those relationships. We're connected, we haven't talked for a while, let's get to know each other. What do you do? How can I help you? Right?
Yeah. So I like that question. How can I help you?
How can I help you? Yeah. And it got to be really genuine. It got to be really genuine. How can I help you? Like, how can I connect, or who can I connect you with, right? To help you succeed in your business, right? Exactly. So that kind of was my my number one marketing.
Yeah. Okay. So we've had some viewers email in some questions beforehand. I want to put them up on the screen, so I'll read them out. And then if we can just dive into the question and just basically answer it for the viewer. Is that okay?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Perfect. So let's start off with this first one here. I usually host a holiday party for my clients to show my appreciation. Any suggestions on what to do this year, given COVID? So it seems like usually they probably hold an in-person event. Now, obviously, it's COVID, social distancing. Any suggestions for this person?
Well, it depends on how big your event is, right? Because you can do, like if it's a smaller, you can still do in person. And again, the venue itself or the event planner, they will definitely guide you in terms of like what measures you need to take for everyone to stay safe. If it's absolutely no for you in terms of in person, read your clients, understand what they like, right? Like, for example, your clients majority of them are Scotch drinkers, right? Send them a package to home, Scotch, like rent a virtual, space where you have like a band and like a tasting of Scotch, tasting. So there's a lot of opportunities. It all depends what your clients love. Don't do a holiday party just to do a holiday party. Concentrate on your clients. Like if it's, what their snacks are, or favorite snacks, or whatever they like, right? Send it to their home, let them enjoy it while they're doing the wine tasting, and as well networking and communicating with each other.
That's awesome. And so really tailor it to your clients and get to know them, really.
Absolutely.
You have to get to know your clients if you're marketing towards them, of course.
Absolutely, because like if for example I'm receiving a package to my home and it's my favorite scotch, or like one of the great scotches, if I'm a scotch drinker, right? It's not only the scotch, but it's thoughtfulness, right?
Right.
In terms of the company itself who's putting it on.
And then we had James email this one in. Are virtual events as effective as in-person events? I don't want to waste my time if it's not going to be worth it. So would you suggest that he just stop doing events altogether, or should he try to put out some virtual events?
Oh, in terms of stopping it altogether, absolutely not. Are they as effective as in person? Unfortunately not. In person are always more effective, because people just need that physical connection, that that physical being, and the environment. So they're not as effective, but I would absolutely proceed with a virtual event. And as I was just mentioning before, understand who you're putting it for, and like what would stand out, right? Me answering those questions right now, just to let you guys know, once we're done, if you have any further questions, please let me know. If not, just at this moment.
I have a question, actually. How would you gauge engagement during a virtual event? What are some tips on doing that?
It depends again, right? Like what type of event that is, right? Like
So let's say it's a staff meeting. We're holding our weekly staff meeting of, let's say, 100 people. How do we gauge the engagement of our staff during the meeting? All that.
So in terms of the meeting, it's important to provide your staff what are you going to be talking about at the meeting, so they don't come just blinded and they don't know what's discussed in this meeting, right? Keep it short, because sometimes people schedule meetings for like an hour where it doesn't really need to be an hour. If you schedule a meeting for an hour, yes, it will go an hour, but you can create a meeting shorter, effective. Ask the staff to come, perhaps present some ideas, brainstorm, wherever that meeting is about.
Collaborate together.
Absolutely. Collaborate. Yeah. Like, hey guys, this is what we're talking about today. Like, what are your thoughts? Like, like let's discuss some ideas, right? And that's what will get people absolutely engaged, because they will feel like you listening to them, you care about their opinion, and not just you sitting and talking about the meeting and not including them.
So have an agenda sent out beforehand to your people. Allow them to ask questions, even bring up their own topics if they want to.
Absolutely. You can even
encourage engagement.
Yeah, you can even ask them, like to brainstorm an idea, like, and let's discuss that. Let's discuss that during the meeting. Right? So you can definitely do it, absolutely, but they need to be clear on why are they attending this meeting.
Yeah. Samuel had sent in this question: how much notice should I give for an online virtual event? So I guess he's planning an event. How much notice do you think would be reasonable to actually receive that amount of viewership and audience, I guess?
So in terms of the event, online event, it depends how big are you, like how many people are you trying to reach with this, right? Or is it smaller? But I would always suggest between 4 and 6 weeks.
4 and 6 weeks.
Yeah.
There you go, Samuel. We have another one from James. Can I still justify charging for my virtual event that is usually held in person? Should I be thinking of value add-ons? That's a good question, James.
Yeah, it is actually a very good question. Yes. In terms of doing online and in person, I would not suggest charging for a virtual event as much as you would for in-person event, because people will just receive a different experience if it's like in person, because they get a value in terms of, like, I don't know if you're like providing some goods for them, if you're providing a food and beverage for them, right? So that is something they're not receiving unless you're sending it to them in advance. But Like look at your local companies. Support your locals. See what companies you have, like businesses, right? Like there's so many businesses in Vancouver, right, and in each city where they have fantastic items. If it's technology, or if it's something where you can touch a product, look at it, see how you can incorporate it into your event, because not only you are the virtual people benefit from it, right, but as well the small businesses, you're showing them support and collaboration, right? It will serve you absolutely in the long run.
100%. I think I was working with a law firm, and we actually put on a virtual event where we it was a cooking class, but before the cooking class, it was an online for cooking class. Beforehand, the firm had made a point to send out to each individual staff member's home, like a bottle of wine and a cheese plate to kind of go with the dinner, which was a thoughtful process in lieu of a summer party this year, I guess. So it's great to see people are doing that, but the value add-ons are definitely a must.
Yeah, and again, support your locals. There is no need, at first, because I think building a relationship with your locals and the community should be a priority if you live in that space before you reach somewhere else, right? Because I think sometimes we look further than we need to. We have right in front of our eyes some great product, but it's always we look further to see what's out there, right? And we oversee what's right in front of us. So pay attention to
that. This one comes in from Tim. Eugenia, so great to see you smile. Your smile. My question is, where should I be posting my event? I have hosted 17 virtual events since COVID, but only an average of 10 people show up. How can I get more people involved?
For this question, I would suggest is, who are you trying to reach, right? Understand where do those people hang out? Are they hanging out on LinkedIn? Are they hanging out on Facebook? Are they hanging out on Instagram, right? There's many great groups in terms of in any platform, right? Let's say Facebook or LinkedIn, they have a lot of great, fantastic groups. Join those groups and start advertising there if you think that that's what your absolutely target market is.
Right. Do you think it helps posting the events online on Alignable or Meetup, or even posting the event on Facebook? Does that help?
It will help. If for example, I'm one of your target audience, when I see your posting, I need to understand why am I attending your event, because that's my question. Why would I attend?
What's in it for me?
What's in what am I going to learn something, whatever the event is? Yes, absolutely. What's in for me? Because people, obviously everybody cherishes that time. So they need to understand that, hey, if I invest into this event, it's going to be valuable for me, and I'm going to learn this, or these are going to be the takeaways for me. Right. So
right. There you go. So, if you had the choice between attending a virtual event with 10 people or an in-person event with 30 people, which would you think you'd get more value out of?
In person, 30 people.
In person. Still in person.
Absolutely. It's people need that in person. And that's why it's absolutely going to go back to in-person events. It's going to take some time to get there, but it will definitely, even, after work, you're like, oh my God, I need a beer, right? You go to a pub or a restaurant or a glass of wine, right? Just you sitting at the bar, right? Just you sitting there, but you still enjoy the atmosphere around you, right? Because it's in person.
Right. So, yeah, it's a different connection, and especially having that human connection. I actually went to an AGM the other day, and it was in person. It was 8 of us in the boardroom, but we're all spread out. But it was the first, I think, AGM that I've seen in person in a long time. So that was exciting and good to see. But I can definitely see the benefit of being in person for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you do weddings, but this question came up. Have you created a virtual wedding before? And if so, how did it go? If not, how would you see this happening?
Well, to answer the question in terms of weddings, so no, I don't do weddings.
Right.
But I mostly focus on corporate events, but as well startups. But in terms of the wedding, you can absolutely do it. You know, if it's let's say a venue, a tech, like whatever you're doing it, right? You can like set up like I'm just getting it, you know, like just like an idea. Like if you sit down
Yeah.
and brainstorm, I think you can come up with just something came to my mind. Like for example, there's tablets, right, which you can rent from AV companies, setting them up on the chairs. So, you know, like people are actually at their chair watching you, and all they have to do is just click, and it's like they're sitting at the chair and they're cheering with you, you know, from home, and they are with you, but just virtually.
That must be, I know of a couple of weddings that have had their weddings fully planned, fully paid for and everything, and then obviously had their numbers cut in half, more than half probably in most cases, during the summer, and they've had to just kind of roll with it and deal with the loss of the people, still paying the caterers, still paying the flowers and all that kind of stuff. So it's tough for some people, but so do you foresee virtual weddings taking place in the future for the foreseeable future?
Unfortunately, I don't see that happening. No.
There you go.
Because once you on your special day, like that's what makes your special days, when you have your loved ones and your friends with you and around you. So I think completely virtual, I don't think it will happen. I might be wrong, but I don't see it happening.
Right. Do you have the event space, concerts? You've worked with Live Nation before, producing some live big scale concerts. Do you see concerts coming back anytime soon, in arenas or stadiums?
Absolutely. Is it going to be going back to the large numbers in terms of attendance?
The floor, mosh pit and all that? No?
I don't think it's going to be like right away, you know, like there's a concert announcement and everybody will be filling the seats. I think this right now, the challenge we're dealing with, I think some people will need some time to kind of recover from it. Right. So they will be really cautious to go to perhaps events. Right. But I think slowly it will get there. And I'm really, really looking forward to it. Because like I said, I've worked in that space and I see how many people, because I have a very good understanding how many people it takes to put on a like big show, right? And all those people right now are struggling.
A lot of moving parts too, right? Lots of moving parts, lots of people.
A lot of details, but like I'm truly looking forward to see again those people go back to what they're best at and create those fantastic experiences for the patrons.
Right. And we're just wrapping up here in the next couple of minutes, but I wanted to ask you, so being in the concert space, who have you seen before that was your favorite concert?
I've seen, oh my goodness, I've seen many. I can't even count how many concerts I've seen.
Most memorable concert?
Memorable, I would say probably for me, Rammstein. And I'm very surprised to say that, because I used to live in Berlin for 9 years, right?
Right.
And you tell me like, go to the Rammstein concert or listen to Rammstein. I'm like, no, thank you. Right. Here, you kind of had like no choice, right? And I was blown away, like the production, the energy, you know, and actually some of their songs, I was like, oh, I kind of like it, you know. So I was quite surprised. So that was one of the memorable. But again, there was like so many different events, which each event kind of, you know, left their own certain piece in my heart, you know.
Perfect. And is there anyone you're looking forward to seeing in the near future?
You know, I love Gypsy Kings. And I always said, one day when I get married, I want to have them at my wedding. So
okay, you heard that, Gypsy Kings.
What's that?
They heard that.
Yeah, I really look forward to see them. Like, yeah.
Well, Eugenia, I really appreciate you taking the time this Friday, the very first Friday in October. thank you to our audience. I really appreciate sending in the questions beforehand. That really helps me. Eugenia's contact info is on the screen there. If you have any questions about any events, I believe you work across Canada.
Yeah.
So she works across Canada. So folks in Toronto, folks in Montreal, Vancouver, Calgary, please contact Eugenia for your next event. Thank you everyone for joining us today. I'll meet, greet, and ask us anything. And I look forward to seeing you next Friday.
See everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.